are you? I'm
Not
going to
too
step
bad. I'm
out
doing
and
well. I'm actually really excited. I've never been interviewed as a marine biologist before, so I'm super stoked.
well, I'm going to let Hannah take the lead on this one. This is her project, and thank you so, so much, Christina. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, thank
Hi,
you.
Hannah.
Hello.
What year are you in?
I'm a sophomore.
Cool. Very
Yeah.
nice. Alrighty, so what do you want to know?
Well, I want to be a marine biologist when I'm older, like going into college and stuff.
Mhm.
I've always had like a fascination with the ocean and everything that's in it. Sorry, I'm sick. But
That's okay.
so what is the training involved in the job? Like, what do you start out doing first?
As far as being a marine biologist,
Mhm.
usually your training begins in college when you go into a lab.
Okay.
But you can even start now being a volunteer for an aquarium
Yeah.
or an environmental center. There's a lot of straight up memorization that you have to go through.
Yeah.
What you end up doing is for training. Wow, that's really broad. Because there's a whole bunch of different stuff that you can go into. Usually, your freshman year of college, you kind of do everything. That's what your gen eds are for. Or if you start volunteering in an aquarium, sometimes they'll put you on a rotation. And so you'll hang out with the seals for a little bit, or you'll hang out at the touch tank, or you'll just walk around answering questions. A lot of it is just straight up studying and rote memorization as far as names of things goes. It's also very specific to where you are. So when I volunteered at the Mystic Aquarium in Connecticut, and the names of things that I had to study were very, very different from the names of things that I had to memorize when I'm down here. So
Okay.
training is really, really specific to what field you want to go in.
Mhm. What do you personally do? Like, are you more like a hands-on person? Are you doing like research in the lab or?
Yes.
Okay.
My specific job is the intern coordinator. So I actually hire and I train students right out of college in order to be teachers, in order to teach
Oh,
marine biology.
that's so
So I love every minute of my job.
cool.
I live in the Florida Keys, so being a marine biologist really definitely gives you some prime choice of living spaces.
Yeah.
But my job is to teach not only coastal ecology and tropical ecology, but I also train all of my staff in lifeguarding and CPR. I'm a rescue diver. Teaching techniques like how to interact with students in order to make the learning experience the most effective. My staff are in charge of taking all of our visiting school groups out on the boats and in the water and showing them around and showing them all of the different animals and plants and basically habitats that we have here in the Florida Keys. And so we have to have like that background knowledge beforehand, and I make them write lesson plans. So I read lesson plans all the time. You can ask about those. Those are always fun. And yeah, so there's in the marine biology world, there is a huge kind of divide in between education and research. And so the people that you most hear about, so Jacques Cousteau, Sylvia Earle, Robert Ballard, those are the people who really branch the two between hardcore research and sitting with your face in the microscope for hours on end, and being able to interpret that and broadcast it to that great big audience that is the rest of the globe. But my field is more outreach and education.
That is so awesome. Do you have any specific advice for anyone entering the field?
Yes, volunteer, 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 because there. God bless you for wanting to be a marine biology. There is no money in this field. There is no money in this field. So you gotta want it.
Yeah.
And you start off by being a volunteer, and you start off going to the state parks and going to the state beaches and picking up trash, or being an interpreter for an aquarium. There are a couple of camps. I grew up in a marine biology camp in Connecticut, so I went to camp. If you want to get into the research field, you still volunteer at the aquarium, still get involved in that sort of any area where you can kind of pick up random stuff on the go. And then in college, get yourself settled down with your gen eds first, and get yourself in a lab immediately. So check out all of the professors first, because if you go to a school that has a marine biology program, there are often multiple professors doing a lot of projects. So one of the things that I wish I had done in school is really shopped the professors. And they'll ask you to apply, and they'll ask you to write a whole bunch of essays, but really you want to make sure that you're getting into a lab that you're okay sticking around with, and then really make that relationship with your advisor or whatever professor you're working with, make that a strong relationship. And basically, if they ask you to jump or go get coffee and then stick around and read a lot of papers. Even if you start with a subscription to National Geographic, a lot of times they have awesome articles where you can jumpstart and get your interest going there. I started in camp. I started at an aquarium. A lot of my research nerdy friends started at camp, started in aquariums. Yeah, so that is a good start. Volunteer.
Yeah, I'll definitely start doing that then.
Yeah.
What are the working conditions like?
They are long. They are really really intense. For my specific field, it's not necessarily so much hands-on, but for my field, it's a lot of long hours and working on your time off to kind of get your lesson plans done, or catch up on that background reading. With research, it's usually you go out in the field in the summer, and then you spend your school year kind of analyzing your results. And then you spend a lot of time searching for grants. My specific job, it's hot, it's sweaty, and it's gorgeous. I go in the water nearly every day, and snorkeling.
Wow.
Working conditions. You work with a lot of people. That's always fun.
So you need to be sociable.
Yes, very sociable, especially if you're in the educational outreach. Then you're talking to people every day. So you'll see a lot of marine biologists who are just like walking around in Teva sandals and sunglasses stands, and they just want to tell you because it's so cool. In research, it depends. It depends on your project. I have a friend of mine in Antarctica right now.
Oh my gosh.
And he sees the same 40 people every day for a series of 6 months. So it's really cool to say I want to be a marine biologist, and yes, please go be a marine biologist. But there's so much variety that your working conditions are very, very different. From the people who jump off Shamu, their working conditions are very different from the people who are on the ice all the time.
Right.
But in general, you can count on people getting excited over really nerdy things, constantly searching for new information. The conditions are always wet.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's definitely one of those professions where you can kind of choose what you want your day to look like.
Yeah, that's what's good about it, because there's just so many vast areas of marine biology, so it's good in that aspect. But it's also really competitive, I heard, and that if be good, you
Yes.
have to really do a lot of things to get there.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's what makes C Camp so cool is that we have this really awesome training facility where we kind of like load you up with a whole bunch of kind of tools that you can put in your pocket, and we have people who come from C Camp and go to the FWC, which is the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. We have people who come from C Camp who go to NOAA.
Oh,
Are you
wow.
familiar with NOAA? Yeah, so we have a really awesome facility, and all of the alumni that come back say the same thing: do a lot of little things, do a lot of internships,
Yeah.
um, do your research, kind of figure out what really interests you,
Hmm.
and then once you get there, just focus on it
Yeah.
and go from there.
I kind of I'm like really fascinated with sharks. Like I would love to study sharks for the rest of my life. Like I kind of want to study the migrational habits of great whites specifically, but I don't know. So I mean, like becoming a marine biology is marine biologist is definitely a possibility. But I also might become a shark biologist. So it's
There,
yeah. But
and your beginning track will look pretty similar
yeah.
from marine biology to a shark biologist. I would start to kind of like do a side project, look at animal behavior,
Hmm.
start to research animal behavior, start to research elasmobranchia.
Hmm.
Elasmobranchia is the shark's raisin skates.
Okay.
So definitely tend to look at that. So see if they offer sending you down to South Africa.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, that's where I've actually had a couple of interns come to me after they've done the South Africa thing, studying great white sharks.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and well, great white sharks they're like big and charismatic, and they have huge teeth, and everybody knows the myths about the great white sharks. There are
Yeah.
actually a ton of really cool sharks that nobody really ever notices. Here at Sea Camp, we are doing population studies on bonnethead sharks, which are like this big,
Hmm.
and they look like tiny little hammerheads. And we're doing population studies.
Hi.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Sorry, it's okay.
So you want to go into sharks? That's really cool. What got you started in sharks?
Um, I don't really know. Like ever since I was like a little girl, we'd like go to the library, with my class, and then they'd be getting like little princess books, and there was me checking out books of great whites and hammerheads and bull sharks, and I just always loved like
Okay, I think I fixed it.
okay.
I think I fixed it. This tiny little internet device. This is the internet, and
Oh, okay.
if it messes up, I'll just end up calling you.
Okay.
Okay, you want to go into sharks? What got you into sharks?
Um, I I don't really know. Like I've always had just such a great fascination for animals. And then I love the ocean. I grew up in California, and there's just something about like the unknown that intrigues me, and I want to.